All right, folks. Let's get settled. All talking should cease. All phones should be put away. The only thing you should have out now is your computer. And if you don't have your computer, that's fine. Just look up at the screen. Make sure you're paying attention, following along with me as much as you can. All right, I'm going to record these and post them up on the website so you can go back and rewatch them if you feel it necessary. All right, we're probably not going to get real far today because a lot of this is just going to be set up, and there's always people that have problems and whatever, but we'll work through it as best we can, okay? So, first things first, I literally am telling you right now, literally, I said first things first. All right. This is my messy desktop. There are two ways to access Photoshop on your computer. One of them is if you look at the bottom row of icons, if you have the little PS icon in a little blue box like this, you can just click on that and that'll bring Photoshop up. If you don't have that, then go over to the lower left-hand corner to your Windows tab, click it, you've got your list of programs. Right here under the A's, it's all alphabetical. You'll see all these Adobe products. Scroll down until you see Adobe Photoshop, which is right here. And then you click on that. That's how you open up Photoshop, either one of those ways. Okay? Now, in addition to Photoshop, you're going to need a copy of a folder that has some sample images in it that we're going to be playing around with. That folder is in two separate locations. It's either on the website under the Resources tab, or you can access it here on the Lessons Drive. The Lessons Drive is a folder. If you look at your bottom row again, it's this one here. It looks like a manila folder with a blue letter A in front of it. That's Student Lessons. All right, if you click on that, you should see a list like this of folders and with with teachers' names listed alphabetically. Last name first. Okay? Now, if you do not see this when you click on the Lessons Drive, that means you need to run your login script to refresh your network connection. Your login script is located here on your desktop. There is a folder called CGHS Tools right here. You double click on it. You've got 4 icons here in CGHS Tools. Select Login Script. Double click it. It'll say run or cancel. Hit run. It'll run through this little code. It'll run a little script. Now you should be able to access the L drive properly and see these folders. Find my name, Kemple.Chris, which is located right here. Double click on it. You'll see a bunch of folders. Find the one that is called Happy Box Image Resources right here. Do not open it. Simply right click on the folder icon and hit copy. Just like that. Right click, copy. Then you can close out of it. Right click again on your desktop and hit paste. And it will paste a copy of it to your desktop like I have right here. I've already done it, so I'm not going to do it again. Okay? So those are the two ways to get that folder on your computer. Either go to the lessons drive, go to my folder, Kemple.Chris. Yes, I do. That's why I don't want you to get confused. Make sure you go to the right folder, copy it, right-click it, copy it, and then paste it to your desktop.
Wait, which folder?
HappyBox Image Resources. No, right-click and do copy, and then right-click again and do paste. Now, the reason why we're doing this, you do not want to mess with the copies that are on the L drive. Those are like the master copies. Those are there so that other people can copy them and use them. They need to remain untouched. All right? What you are doing now is taking a copy of all those files and making your own local copy of them for your use. That way you're not overriding the originals. Okay? Again, that's one way to do it. The other way is it's on the class website under resources, and all the images are in there. Maybe it's kind of a pain, but yes, you can do it. I don't know if there's a way to batch do it or not. I'm not a big fan of Final Site, but I just put them up there just in case. Okay. So, again, these files are simply for samples. These are not for you to use on your boxes. All right? You guys are not building your real boxes right now. You understand that? This is just for practice. Okay. So once you have that file, that folder copied over, you can open up Photoshop and we can begin. Okay. All right. So this is what you should now be seeing on your screen. Photoshop, open, and ready to go. If there's something playing on a computer, it better stop. I do not have patience today. I mean it.
Sorry. What? Dude, what? What? You know what I have that on the computer.
All right. Now, in that folder that you just copied, there is a file called template.jpg. That's what you're going to want to open. So you can open up Photoshop and go File, Open, or Control-O. Go to that folder, HappyBox Image Resources, and select this file, template, right here. This one. This is what we're opening, folks. It's right here on the screen. And just hit open. And there it is. Okay, yes. All right, now, some of you might be seeing a grid on your image because you've still got grids turned on from back when we did the stippling project. To get rid of that, you simply go up to View, then go to Show, and then select Grid. Just like that. And it will turn it off. Anything if you leave it on. View, Show, Grid. What? File, open. When do you have that copy, that template folder, that template image copied over? So where did you copy it to? Where did you download it to? On your machine? Okay. So just go into Photoshop, hit File, Open, and then go to wherever it is you saved it, and then you can access it. Okay? All right. Now what you are seeing is the blank box, unfolded, flattened out, all four sides, disassembled. So your job is going to be filling this with content and design and good stuff. All right, it's not a huge amount of space, but you're going to want to make sure that you are designing it well based on what we talked about yesterday. Design elements and principles and all that stuff. Okay? So, the Photoshop in this, again, this will look a little familiar to you based on what we did back, when we stippled, but we'll review it real quick. You've got three main areas of functionality here. You've got your middle space, which is the largest space, which is where you're doing your work. The very top row up here are your function menus. Similar to most other software programs, you've got File, under which you can create a new file or open an existing one. You can save, you can close, you can revert, all that stuff. Most of it in print, you don't need to really know any of them other than those, the basics. Open, new, etc. You can also just use the hotkeys for faster, like to create a new file, Control-N to open, Control-O, save, Control-S. I mean, pretty standard stuff. All right, the edit menu, this is where you're going to do things like access your fills and strokes, which are like outlines. You're going to also use edit, transform to do a lot with scaling and rotating images. Okay? And edit is also where the undo and step backward and forward are. Undo is just, if you made a mistake, you want to undo it, Control-Z. If you need to go back more than one step, you use step backwards, which is Alt-Control-Z. Okay? Image, this is where you can look at image size, resolution, all that good stuff. This tells you exactly like what the dimensions are and the resolution is for your image. Again, your dimensions are different from your resolution. Dimensions just refer to the printable size. All right, this is about 17 by about 11 by almost 12 inches, not quite. And the resolution is 300, which means that it's 300 pixels for every inch, all right, which is decent. You don't want to go any lower than 300 if you're printing something out. Again, it's also under image size. It's 17 wide by 11.753 tall. Okay. Then you've got other things up here for layers and type. We'll get more into that later. You don't need to know 3D. Filters are just kind of like special effects. All right, we'll get back to those. Now on the sides, you have your toolbar on the left, and on the right you have just like whatever floating menus you want to have open. You can change this. This will look different for everyone depending on what options you have selected. Right now I have my swatches and my layers open. If you have nothing else open in Photoshop, you need to have these two open, swatches and especially layers. If you don't have it open, here's how you get to it. Go up to Window and scroll down. You see this long list. These are all the different menus you can have open. Go down and select Layers. So go Window, Layers, and then Window Swatches, and that will bring them up. And they'll be displayed on the right-hand side right here. Okay?
What am I doing?
Well, it should let you have more than one. Maybe you already had it open and you turned it off.
Whoa.
It's like a check, uncheck kind of an action. Okay.
Okay.
Now, moving on. Folks, are we all on the same page? Because I'm hearing talking. Okay. So what we're going to do now is just go down the toolbar on the left-hand side and start going through what each tool does, and then corresponding with this menu up here. Right now I have layers open from previous classes, but we're going to pretend. In fact, I'm just going to select all of these layers and trash them. Batman's going in the garbage. All right, we're going to start from scratch here. Okay. The first tool on this toolbar is the Move tool. The Move tool is simply there to, obviously enough, move elements around in an image. It can only do this a layer at a time. You cannot move the background layer because it's always locked by default. Whenever you create a new image or open a new image, it's always going to start you with the background layer, and that's the bottom, that's the basement, that's the bottom floor of your layer stack, and it's always locked. So if you want to manipulate this, you're going to have to duplicate the layer. Okay? So what we're going to do first is figure out some of these selection tools, and we're going to just put like a simple background color on our box. All right? So the first thing we want to do is duplicate this background layer, because we want to have a backup in case we mess something up on our layers. We want to be able to go back and have an original untouched layer to go back to. So over here in the Layers menu, which you should have open, there's a little menu, submenu to click on. It's like 3 lines. Go to where it says Duplicate Layer. Now, watch down here. Watch this area down here where my layer is. See where it says Background? Once I hit OK, bam, now I have 2. Right? I have 2 images selected. I mean, not images, layers selected, okay? Background and background copy. Now I can mess with this copy because my original is still intact down here. In fact, I can even just turn that off and just leave it alone. I won't have to mess with it anymore. It's safely there. No, I can't, because you should have been paying attention when I did it the first time. And I know you weren't paying attention because I saw you over there talking. So, no, we're moving on. You can watch the video later. Next time, please pay attention. All right. So now that I have my layer duplicated, we are going to use the selection tools here to select and fill a color in these areas. Now, here are these little squares down here at the very bottom of my toolbar on the lower left corner of my screen. These are my foreground and background colors. All right, these are the colors I currently have active. So if I select any kind of tool that involves color, right now I'm going to be painting or drawing or whatever in red because that's the color I have selected. If I want to change the color, I can either double click on that little box and get my color picker, and I can slide between different colors here. And then once I have, like, let's say I've got blues, now I have a range of blue, and I can go in and pick a light blue, a dark blue, whatever. It shows me my current color. It shows me the color that I had. Well, no, I'm sorry. The red is the current color I have. The blue is what I'm changing it to. Okay? I want to go a little lighter, so I'm going to drag this down a little further and do something like this. All right? Hit OK. Now note that my foreground color has changed to blue. I have 3 selection tools here. They all do the same thing, but in different ways. They all make selections, but in different ways. All right? The marquee tool simply, you can drag and create selections, either elliptical or rectangular. This is a pull-out menu. Whenever you see that little arrow on the button, that means if you click and hold, you can pull it out. So let's say I want to select this face of the box to fill it. All right, well, I could use this tool, but see, like, it's almost there, but it's not quite. The corners are a little off. Now, I could go back later and try to erase that, but it would be kind of a pain. There's an easier way to do it. So instead of drawing the selection as a shape, we're going to go down here to the Magic Wand tool. Now, the Magic Wand also creates selections, but it does it based on outlines and color. If you have a shape like this, where you have nice areas of flat color that are enclosed in an outline with no openings, no gaps, I can simply click on that shape with the Magic Wand. You see that? And it automatically selects the whole shape. If I hold down Shift, I can add to the selection and select multiple faces. Again, the Magic Wand is right here. It's the 4th one down. Magic Wand. No, but if you want to deselect, hit Control D. Control D. It's okay. So you shouldn't have to do any dragging with the Magic Wand. It is simply click. One click will fill an area. If I click outside, see, now it's clicking the outside. But see, that's the reason why this template's designed this way, is that I've got nice closed shapes that I can select easily. So I'm going to go ahead and select all, hold down Shift, and I'm going to select all 4 faces of my box. Now watch this. Whenever you make a selection in Photoshop, that's like you're basically telling Photoshop, hey, pay attention to what's inside this dotted selection and ignore everything else. So if I got my pencil tool and tried to color outside the selection, nothing's happening. But if I go in suddenly, right, everything that's selected is being colored. Everything that's not selected is being masked out. Okay, right now I am doing this. Yes, Control D deselects. All right, too many questions at once. As I just said a second ago, you change your color by clicking on these few boxes on your foreground color down here, and you get your color picker. And then you slide and select your color. Or you can select from one of these swatches. Now, what I just did here was I painted with the pencil tool, which is right here. But there's another way to do it. I'm going to undo this. An easier way to fill a large area or a selection with a color is to go up to Edit and go to Fill right here. Edit, Fill. It will then ask you, do you want to do foreground color, background color, whatever? Just hit foreground color is all that you needed. If it says something weird like content aware, switch it to foreground. Normal is fine, 100% is fine. All this other stuff is good. Hit OK. Bam! Instant fill. But here's the one thing that I forgot to do, and I did it on purpose to show you. And everyone needs to pay attention. Martha. I know, but I'm trying. Okay. Are you behind? Am I going too fast? Okay. Where are you at? You mean fill? Edit fill? Just go up to edit and then select fill. All right, folks, here's the one thing that you need to do before you do that. Create a new layer. All right? If you do what I just did, you are going to put your fill directly on your template, and that's going to make things hard later on if you want to change the color. So before you do edit fill, go down here. Look where my cursor is, everybody. Look, this button right here, create new layer. Click on that. Watch what happens to my layer stack when I do this. Boom, I've got another new layer. Now I can fill, edit, fill, foreground color, okay, bada bing. And now this fill is on a separate layer. So later on, if I decide, man, I don't like that blue, I want red or I want yellow, I can easily go back to this layer, select the colors, and change them. The key is putting everything as much as possible on separate layers. Now, at some point, you will forget to do that. I forget to do that. It's okay, but just make sure that you try to catch yourself. Otherwise, you'll need to go back and reconfigure some things. Okay? So that is how fills work. That is how the magic wand works and selection tools work. Now, the only other tool we didn't go over is the quick selection tool. I'll go over that in a second. Okay, now let's start bringing some other elements to this. If I go back to my folder with all of my resources in it, yeah, a lot of them are copies of the same folder. I'm going to bring in two different images. Batman character and Robin. I'm just going to drag them over and bring them in as separate images. Like what?
Like select it and like.
Well, that's because you're not on the right layer, sweetie. You got to be on the layer that the template's on in order to select, right? Like if you're on this layer, there's nothing there other than the blue. So you just got to get used to like switching back and forth. Yeah, so, okay, so let's say, let's go back to this layer. And let's say we want to do this side. Okay, so now I've got that selected because I went back down to that layer and clicked on it. So now that's selected. Now I can simply go up to Edit, go to Fill right here. Foreground color, normal, 100%, hit OK. Except I got to go back to layer 1 before I fill it. It's like you switch to this layer to do the selections, and you switch back to that layer to do the fills. It's kind of confusing, it is, but you'll get the hang of it. So now go back, do edit. Okay, well if you want to do them all, then let's select them all now. You can do it all at once. So now that you have that there, hold down Shift, there, and there, and then go back to this layer again, and then do edit fill. There you go. Yep. You'll get the hang of it.
So I did the edit fill thing with the color and it came up with that. And I don't know what I did.
That's because when you did fill, it was set to content aware. So it wasn't set to foreground color. So let's undo that. Let's step backward. Okay. Now let's create a new layer first. Now when you go to edit fill, see where it says content aware? Change that to full color.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
There we go.
Yeah.
Like, it's not showing up like everyone else's is.
You gotta have your layers open first. Go to Window, go to Layers. There's your Layers tab. And then you can drag it over into there.
Thank you.
Yep. All right. Sorry, I didn't pause my video, so now there's like 5 minutes of me helping people. That's probably going to be boring. All right. So, next step. Let's say I want to start getting some images on here. I have gone through Google. I have found some nice high-res images to put on my box. All right. If I want to get Batman on here, I can either get the Move tool and drag it like so, and it will automatically create it on, put it on a new layer. That's a good question. Why is the Batman that looked so big in this image, why does he look so small on this box? That has to do with resolution, folks. Image resolution. The resolution of my box template is higher than the image of Batman. Therefore, because I am putting a smaller image on a bigger image, the scale makes it look that way. All right, so remember, this template is like 11 by 17 inches with 300 DPI resolution. This Batman image, if we go to image size, is only 258 by 480, and it's only 72. So it's a lot smaller. So that's why it suddenly looked like it shrunk. It didn't really shrink. That's how big it always was. But here's where we're going to learn about scale and transformations. Now, if I want Batman to be this big, then I'm good. But if I want him to be bigger, or if I want to take part of him, like just his head or his torso, and enlarge it and cut the rest off, I'm going to need to scale him up. So go to Edit. Go to Transform. Go to Scale. You'll see these little anchor points appear around the image. I hold down Shift and I drag the corners. And now Batman's bigger. He looks kind of jagged right now because I'm still in mid-transformation. See how he looks kind of chunky on the edges? If I hit Enter, it will become less blurry.
Whoa. Oh my God.
All right? So now Batman is bigger on my box, but now there's a problem still because I've got this annoying white border around him that looks really bad. So now I can go back and use my, well, it's not a dropper, it's a magic wand. And I can select, just click on that white space because again, it's a nice flat color. And I'm going to hold down Shift so I can select more than one area. And I'm going to hit the Delete key. Boom. Now he's nice and clean. Now here's the deal. There are going to be times when you luck out and you find great reference like this that's already on a flat background, and it's going to be a simple matter of just selecting the color and deleting it. But you're not going to always be that lucky. Sometimes you're going to find an image like this. Yes. If it opens. It's going slow. All right. You're stuck on how I got Batman in the image in the first place? I opened it. You go to File, Open. Or, see, here's the thing with Photoshop, guys. You can open something by going File, Open. Nothing wrong with that. Or, if you already have the folder with all your files in it open somewhere, like this, go down to your sub-menu down here, click on the folder so that it's open and floating above Photoshop like this. You see that? Photoshop is open in the background. So what I can do is simply click on a file and just drag it over. Like I can take this file, click it, look at me dragging it over. Here I go. I don't want to drag it directly on the image. I'm going to drag it right up here. See the little plus sign? That's going to open it as a separate file in Photoshop. It's going to take a second, but then it's going to open it up Maybe it's in the background. Yep, there it is back there behind it.
I remember there being like an insert.
I don't know. Here's the other thing that I should mention about when you open up files, everybody. When you first open up a file, it's going to open it like this. It's going to attach it to the top of the workspace so that only one image is visible at a time. See that? I can't look at them simultaneously. I can only switch back and forth between the two of them. But I can change that. If I click on the title bar and simply drag down a little, I can unattach it. Then I can have floating windows, which are a little more convenient. If I want to resize my window, I simply do Control Alt minus or plus, like so. All right, now here is where we've got a different situation from the Batman image. You see this? Robin is he's not isolated. It's taken from like a screen capture or something. So Robin needs to be separated from this if I want to make him like cut out like Batman is. So this is where I'm going to have to use the other selection tool that we haven't done yet, Quick Selection. Is everybody following me? Because I am hearing lots of talking. Folks, again, let me remind you, you can play with the stuff later. Just watch what I'm doing. A lot of you are completely ignoring what I'm telling you because you're trying to go off and do this by yourself. And so you're missing important information. Please just pay attention to what I do, then you can go back and play with it later. All right? If you don't understand something, save your questions and then you can ask them. All right? Now, the quick selection tool creates a selection based on proximity of the cursor. So, if you start clicking, let's zoom in a little closer on this. You see that? It's starting to grow the selection gradually each time I click. And it is automatically set to additive. See the little plus sign in the middle of the cursor there? That means every time I click, I am adding to the selection. If I want to subtract, let's say I go too far and I select some of the background, I don't want it, I can hold down Alt and the plus changes to a minus, and now I can go back and start subtracting from the selection like so. I can change, if this is too big and I want to make it smaller, I can use my bracket keys, the brackets next to the P key. And I can gradually select stuff like this. So it takes a little more, obviously it's more work than simply one click and you're done, but the regular magic wand would not work on something like this. Hold down Alt again. Now, the other nice thing about all the selection tools is that you can combine them as needed. So let's say I'm getting to a point now where, you know what, his hand, I'm just not able to get it with this tool very well. Like this little area in here, it's hard to get to. the bracket keys next to the P key.
Okay.
So left bracket makes it smaller, right bracket makes it bigger. So if I want to go in and smooth this up, what I can do is switch to a different selection tool. Oh, there's the bell. All right, we will continue with this tomorrow. Again, these will all be recorded and put up on the website. Please put your stools up before you leave.